I want to bring in James Carafano, Lieutenant Colonel James Carafano. I hope I got your title right, sir. Let me ask you for your take on this. Our latest reports from our reporter that's out in the field is that 6 missiles have landed. The AP out of Iran is reporting, and again, it's coming from inside Iran, so it can be propaganda, that they were saying there were tens of surface-to-surface missiles that are being lobbed at the Air Force Base where the American troops are. What's your take on this?
Well, first thing that the U.S. would want to do is confirm that these missiles were actually fired from Iranian territory. That would be a real provocation. Iran has directly attacked its neighbors' territory, of course. You remember they fired a bunch of missiles and drones at oil infrastructure in Saudi Arabia, but that was not aimed at Americans. So this target is aimed at Americans, and if it did come from Iranian soil, it would indeed be an escalatory provocation.
So this is a tweet that is coming out right now from the IRGC, and it says the brave soldiers of IRGC's aerospace unit have launched a successful attack with tens of ballistic missiles on Al-Assad military base in the name of the martyr, General Qasem Soleimani. I don't know if you take their Twitter word for it, but your thoughts?
I probably would. So here's the first thing. These kind of missiles are actually notoriously not incredibly accurate. So the fact that they fired them in the direction of the base doesn't tell you what they actually hit. They don't have pinpoint accuracy, so they could have landed in the desert. And the next thing you'd really want to do is wait for what's called a battle damage assessment, an assessment of what did these things actually do. I think that could make a difference in terms of what the U.S. response is. If they actually managed to kill Americans, right? So that, I think, would be a real issue for the administration. That seems to be a red line for the president. If you kill Americans, we will not tolerate that. However, if they just fired them and they landed in the desert or they did some unspecified damage, that might free up the United States to think about how it might want to respond to that in the future. I mean, I'm sure the U.S. would, but the U.S. doesn't always respond tit for tat. If you remember when they shot down the drone, we did some cyber attacks. We cut off the oil that they were smuggling to Libya, but we didn't actually do a military response. So I don't think that we wake up tomorrow morning and think B-52s would essentially be dropping bombs on Iran. I don't know what military option they might take, and it might not be right away.
Yeah, and you're talking about all this hinges on the loss of American lives or not. We don't have any information on that right now. As you mentioned, and we want to stress to our viewers, we don't know if any of the rockets that landed, if they landed on the base, if there are casualties, what the damage is.
Right.
All we know at this point is lots of reports of missiles fired. They have been confirmed by Fox News at this point. We also know that Dow futures at this point are sinking. Obviously, we're a business channel, so we want to bring that into the mix. And so let me ask you, we had another expert on that was talking about a non-military response to this in the sense that, not more firing, the idea of blockading Iran and really, issuing a stranglehold at that point that wouldn't involve more missiles and more bombs at this point. Does that seem like something that is possible, or is that too small of a response?
I would not discount that the U.S. might do options other than a direct kinetic response or an immediate direct response. I think it'll make a difference if there are American casualties. If there are not American casualties, the U.S. might well do something else. The other thing is this administration's got a pretty good track record of proportionality, right? So it's very unlikely that they would leap, up the escalatory ladder and do something incredibly reckless. They might retaliate against the facilities where the attack was launched from. But I think that's, in terms of a military response, I think that's about the most you might see. Of course, the U.S. was not, of course, taken by surprise because I've been putting forces in the region, planning for these kind of contingencies. So, again, I think we'll have to do what the people in the Pentagon are doing, is wait to sort things out before they decide what their next step is.
Okay, we want to thank you so much for jumping on so quickly.